to show that we have adequate capacity.
Right.
I don't know how long that's going to be, and maybe Bob can chime in on that.
Bob's here.
I think, Bob, we talked about this at our last meeting, and you and Bob Hanson, when we were talking about, the 30% of ERs we provided capacity for that we're not servicing, and we kind of agreed when Kyle got back, we need to address that issue. So I guess from my perspective, Kyle, I wouldn't ask you, to do it until we went through that process with you. None of us would want that to happen.
Sure.
So where are we?
So I think you could send. I definitely don't think it's a bad idea to memorialize all of these issues in writing and just say, in order for the district to provide water, 1, 2, 3, 4 would need to happen. Today, we do not have the ability to serve you. In order for us to be able to serve you, here's what we would need to have happen. And I can work with Kyle on, and he just already mentioned a few of them, but I can work with Kyle on formulating what that is right out the gate. And maybe that's a booster station. We're happy to work, I think, to the extent the developer wants to explore those options, the district would, of course, require a construction improvement agreement and a reimbursement agreement for Kyle's time and my time. So if the district, the developer is interested in, we want to meet with Kyle and we want to get our engineer involved and explore those options. That's great. Here's, all the things we need to require first. So I think it's fine to provide a letter that says, no, today we do not have the capacity to serve you. Here is what would need to be required in order to make that happen. A lot of you are correct in that when developers read that, they need to reassess their plans for development, and it causes them to put in more infrastructure.
Right.
So, but I just think that's still not a bad idea to provide that in writing. And the more we can tell them about all the problems, honestly, just the better case that is. I've had too many experiences for comfort of where districts say, well, I actually had this issue too, but we didn't tell them. Oh, great. Well, then we get farther down the line and then we've got a bigger problem, So just tell them everything that's wrong with the water, and whether that means, the elevation. Hey, we're set to have an improvement plan. None of that's in place yet. So, no, we don't have, and it won't be in place for a while. They can wait out the bond, whatever, but it is not going to be in place anytime soon. So there's that. And on the wastewater, and I can work with Kyle on providing those items. On the wastewater, I don't know if we could meet more with the Bobs, Kuchel Hansen, and just talk about, I know we've got the connections, and Jesse has just mentioned that as well. So we have the capacity, at least, to serve. There needs to be internal infrastructure still to the development that has to meet those standards before the district would formally accept that infrastructure. And that's a term of art. Acceptance is a term of art here. And again, that work requires a construction improvement agreement. Could be combined with the water. That's not a problem. I can edit that agreement, and same thing, reimbursement agreement. So just so here's everything on the table that needs to be done for you to want to build these 25 homes within the district.
Caitlin, when the realtor called me with Jesse, it was when you were on vacation, and wanted the will serve letter. I told him at that time that we had no idea what would be required on the water side because we were just in the process of developing our capital improvement plan. So he knew that going in, that we couldn't give him any assurance of what was going to be required up there. So,
so what I'm hearing,
do you think that you and Kyle could get together so that you could teach him more about the sewer system and our capacity and put some numbers and stuff in front of his face, because what I'm hearing from Kyle is that he just doesn't feel comfortable issuing any type of recommendation on will serve on the sewer side. He's just kind of flying blind there with the sewer side. So I think that we definitely need to get our engineer educated on the sewer side.
Well, and I think, Jesse, that's what we decided at that last meeting. I think we need to meet with Kyle, Bob Hanson, Cooch, and get that effort going so that Kyle is comfortable in giving us some figures, because we need that not only for this situation, but also the capacity issues we're dealing with all of the vacant yards. So I would like it to be more formal, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, and that's fair. And I will just kind of plant this seed. Do we have any documentation that's been stamped by a professional engineer that states capacities and allowable connections on the wastewater side? Because if we don't, this could be a long process in getting to that point.
Cooch, do you know?
The only thing we might have is if the last TO engineers report, which was I think back in 2015, if that is has something in there, yes. Other than that, all we have is the original Welch-Comer plans that showed the drain field capacity and also our permit numbers, which shows our capacity there. That's all we have. But if TO engineers has something, we might be able to go with that.
Okay.
Okay, so what I'm hearing is that Kyle and Caitlin are going to get together to construct a letter to go
Yep.
to this.
Right.
Do you have a date in case he contacts me to kind of? Do you have a date that you?
I mean, I think Kyle, we could get this done by the end of the week, or not this week, next Friday.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say, dang, Caitlin, that's tomorrow.
Not tomorrow. I know. I gotta meet with Colleen tomorrow on the ordinances. That's what I was thinking about. I think I've done a lot of these letters. They are not more than 1 to 2 pages. They're a bullet list, almost a punch list item, if you will.
Yeah.
Of, we don't have capacity to serve you today for these reasons.
Okay.
Here's all the things that we know about, by the way. That is subject to change given that we are still in flux with our water improvement project. You know, we haven't started construction on that. Dirt has not been turned. So we're still, just so you know, just so they know, we're still in the works with that. And then we move on to sewer. So I'm not anticipating it a lengthy item. It's just a matter of Kyle and we can get. I'm happy to send you that kind of the guts on that letter, Kyle, and you can fill in all of the just the bullet points. I mean, it doesn't need to be a lengthy. Just telling them here's all the things that need to be required that we know of today. Those are subject to change given that we are in the process of a water improvement project and in the middle of working with agencies on that.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then we go into the wastewater.
And I think the only exception that, Caitlin, is how quickly I can get on the same page with the Bobs on the wastewater side.
Yes. Yeah.
So,
Right. Yeah.
I think we should try and set up a meeting as soon as we can, probably the first of next week. Jesse, can you get a hold of Bob Hanson? Because I think he and Cooch have, the busiest schedule, so that we can get something going to meet.
Yeah.
Okay.
The whole board or just the Bobs and?
The Bobs,
The
I would
Bobs.
like to definitely be part of it.
The Bob.
The Bobs. I like that phrase. The Bobs.
Yeah.
Yes, it's us guys out in the sewer pond with no arms and no legs again, right?
Yeah, and Bob, you missed. Kyle, do you want to just real quickly fill Cooch in on what the
Sorry about
situation
that.
is
For
with
some reason, I thought
water?
it was 11:30, so I'm sorry it was late.
Yeah. I'll give you a quick rundown, Bob. So the first thing we did was I pulled up the water model and we showed our existing conditions. We're good on overall supply capacity for the peak hour with these connections. But one of the things we looked at in the model is it shows us about 41, 42 PSI for that peak day demand right at Emerson Drive where our 6-inch ends.
Okay.
And then as we continue for that development, as you go to the west, you actually gain some elevation, maybe 15 to 20 feet. So we're going to lose pressure. We're going to be a little below 40 psi. So that southern east corner of the property will have probably around that 40 psi, but the northern portion will be below. And with that, there's a couple things we could do. We'll mention in the letter. We could do some additional hydrant testing to make sure that jives with the actual conditions, just to kind of double check that. And then number 2 or 3 is looking at other alternatives to increase that pressure. Calvin made a good comment. Hey, is there something they could do potentially for a booster station there to increase the pressure for that development? We can kind of just pose that additional valuation is going to be needed, or the improvements be constructed that are proposed to be done in order to provide adequate pressure to that development.
Okay.
And I think, and I'm hoping that you'll chime in on this too, but providing that bare minimum 40 psi, people aren't thrilled with that. They know that it's low pressure, even though that's the minimum allowable. It's really not the best pressure, and it's noticeable. Is that a fair statement?
Well, what the fair analysis is likely those people are going to have some landscaping in. So when it's 40 psi at the meter and they turn their sprinklers on and take a shower, they're going to be whining about it. Then your residual pressure is lower than 40.
Yeah.
Actually, this is kind of a good news story because that's going to be developed sometime within the next 5 years.
Sure.
So if they can supply the district with a booster or the 12-inch line down the thing, that we benefit from that. So
The 12-inch
Absolutely.
line would be ideal, so that we're not just getting more infrastructure and another booster station to upkeep. But
Yeah,
I guess.
we gotta look at the alternative.
yeah. Okay, so by next Friday, Kyle and Caitlin, you'll have a letter for Jesse to send out?
Yeah, that is fine on my timeline. Is I don't want to make put Kyle in a
Right.
bind on getting together with the Bobs, but for me,
Okay.
yeah, I think that's easy. It sounds like we're just down to some
Okay,
items
just in
on the
case,
wastewater, and
just in case he contacts me, I can say we're in the
Yeah.
process.
we're
and
working on it.
that,
Yep.
hopefully by the end of next week.
And
Yeah,
then
we met and go ahead.
Caitlin, are you gonna need all the fees for that letter? The hookup, the connection fees, the inspection fees?
No,
Yeah.
I'll just say, pay all fees currently assessed by the district for information. For information or dollar amounts, please contact to the district's office, and they can just get a copy of it.
Okay.
They'll
Alright.
they'll have to pay the connection fees. They'll have to pay the monthly maintenance fees. All those things. Yep.
Okay. We're on to number 3, action item, the water leak. Bob, you're on.
Yeah.
Okay. Depends on which one we're talking about. I assume we're referring to the one on Cape Horn Road. Cape Horn Road and Cape Horn Estates.
Yeah, have you got more bad ones?
Well, I'll give you an update on what that. Well,
Okay.
we're talking about probably that one was repaired, but I think we're talking about the water leaks from reading meters and what's happened over the winter. Is that the one we're referring to?
Right, and I was talking about